Hi.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. We made it.
Happy Friday. We did. This was a good week, wasn't it?
It just keeps getting better and better.
It is. And so, Gloria, you are a former TV producer and US diplomat who has spent her entire career using various media to tell impactful stories and that create opportunity. I will read a little bit about your background. So, Gloria has never had fancy industry contacts or agency affiliations. She had to learn how to hack her own PR by cold calling and emailing thousands of editors. And if we are founders and we have tried to get our word, our name, our companies out there, we're probably able to relate to that. So that's why she believes that PR shouldn't be a luxury item only for later stage companies. So she's known as the PR guru with a mission to help early stage founders hack their own PR. And so I am super excited to have you here with us, sharing some of those hacks with the community. And I had the pleasure of being part of your masterclass before, so I know it's a great session and a lot of good takeaways from that session as well. So, Gloria, thank you again for joining us, and I'm gonna hand it over to you and welcome you.
Hey, everyone. How we doing? I see we got almost 40 people in the house. What's up? It's Friday. I just want to have fun. I want to keep it light. I do want to warn you, I cover a lot because I'm all about giving you the highest amount of value in the shortest amount of time. So if you're ADD like me, I might say throughout the conversation, come back to me, whatever you're doing, because I don't want you to really miss out on how you can land press. It's going to save you tens of thousands of dollars. So if we are ready, I'm going to share my screen. And if you can help me kind of monitor the chat, I know there's some questions and that way we can make sure everyone gets addressed, but let me know. Is this okay? The screen size? Okay, great. So my name is Gloria, and this is how to land press in 2021 without ads and without agencies. Basically, what I mean is how to become your own PR hero so you can never pay to be featured, because that's going to give you the most credibility and the most sustained legitimacy and credibility for your company. Okay. You can follow me online. I'm going to give you all of my Instagram and all those details. I'm also doing a 5-day PR challenge for the first time ever. So make sure you sign up for that now. It's at getfeaturednow.com and it's completely free. We're going to talk about how to write your winning pitch. But back to the program. So why are we here today, right? What is the problem that we all need to solve? That is, as an early stage founder, we need traffic. We need eyeballs on our product, right? And we also need that credibility, that legitimacy, so that we can convert people, we can get investor confidence, and we can succeed long term. But guess what? All of the things that takes you there, they cost way too much and it takes too long, right? You have SEO, which can take up to a year. You can pay tons of money for that traffic. The billion-dollar ad industry is more than happy to take your money. And there's never a guarantee. There's no guarantees with anything. Even if you hire a 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand a month PR agency, they're not going to give you any guarantees. So what does that mean for us? For the bootstrap founder who has no chance of paying this amount, is you have to understand how to get press on your own. That is such a powerful skill that's going to allow you to get invited to keynotes, to boardrooms, to VIP tables. And if you know how to adapt your messaging, you can always be invited to the table. I see there's some chats here going on. Woohoo, yay. So I'm going to put that here. Now.com. There you go. Okay. Yes. Where were we? So yes, getting press. Okay, so a little bit about me. I have had, well, I actually need to change that. It's 750 million because every day they keep getting more views. But I have helped nearly 1 billion views online organically for my clients. Some of them, they pitch themselves by using the exact framework I'm going to teach you in these slides, right? I'm talking about founders without a website who are funding on Kickstarter, who have not even a physical location. They were able to get on places like the New York Times, Bustle, Well and Good using this formula. So believe it, it's going to happen. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. I've gotten my clients on hundreds of top tier features in Brazil, in Europe, in New York, in LA. And I've never to this day for my business have paid for a single ad, right? It's all word of mouth. I had over 3,000 founders just like you come to this masterclass just by word of mouth referrals. So this stuff really, really works. Most importantly, I studied politics and international relations. I don't have a single journalist contact in my phone, like zero, but yet I'm able to leverage 750 million views. So it is possible. So PR is a skill. And the more you practice that skill, the less you're going to have to depend on someone else's Rolodex. I really call myself a failure champion because I didn't come into PR working at an agency. They actually wouldn't hire me because, I quit the foreign service and I wanted to get a PR job. But the first question was, well, do you have agency experience? And I didn't. And I didn't want to start from the bottom again. So what did I do? Picked up the phone, Googled NBC newsroom, dialed from zero to the operator, to the intern, to the assistant, to the editor. And throughout thousands of cold calls, I perfected my elevator pitch so that in 5 seconds, I can give them exactly what they want before they hang up on me, right? This is exactly the system I am going to show you step by step in this presentation. So when I say 750 organic views, I mean places that are not going to accept my money to write. There's a lot of like pay to play, contribute this, sponsor this. Not a single sponsored post, right? All organic. That's why I'm a PR coach at over 10 plus networks. And now I can add the guild to it. And I love meeting Anne, and I love all of you. So it just keeps growing and expanding, and really representing the new cohort of entrepreneurs who want to do things a bit differently, right? And I've been interviewed on a lot of podcasts too. So if you're a podcaster, if you love to listen to me speak, you can also find me online as well. But before we get into the nitty gritty of the exact step by step, I have to address the elephant in the room, which is there's this number one belief of early stage founders. And they always say, Gloria, we're just not ready for PR, or we're too early stage, or we don't have a website. And all that is BS. And I'm going to smash those limiting beliefs. If you have it now, we ain't got time for that. It's 2021. Okay. I'm going to show you how you can get rid of this belief. So my client, Tanisha, she's age 26. And when I worked with her, she's from iFund Women, and she got the starter pack. So I taught her how to pitch herself. So it wasn't even me calling people. She did this herself, okay? She is on Kickstarter crowdfunding for a gym during COVID. So not only does she not have a physical location, not only does she not have a gym, and she did not have a single customer, she was just crowdfunding for an idea. We were able to position her as the fitness industry thought leader about how wellness is going to change during COVID and what she can take from her experience being an Equinox trainer. We put that into a pitch, and she positioned herself by offering 3 ways gyms can survive a pandemic. So she wrote her pitch in June. She reached out to reporters via email and Instagram using the method I taught her in July. She got her first interview 1 month later. And by August, she had appeared in 10 plus outlets. So if you look at the dates on these, this is all like July, August. You can Google her right now. Like, this is on the internet. So she's been on Shape, Pop Sugar, Bustle, Wallpaper, Well and Good, even Time Magazine, right? She's still, to this day, if you go onto her website, it says join the waitlist because she doesn't have a physical space yet. But guess what? Her LinkedIn is off the chain. Her DMs are off the chain. She got investors requesting her. And she just won a $25,000 grant from American Express. So this is all possible. And this is what I really want to leave you with is you do not need to be ready to land press. You just need to have a point of view, and you need to know how to write a really great pitch. And that's what we're going to cover in my 5-day challenge as well. That begins February 1st. I wrote it in the chat. You can sign up now. It's completely free. So what if you just had like 1/10 of that result? So what if you just had like 1/20th? How would that change your business? How would it help you meet investors, partners, and build social proof, or even be on a first name basis with an editor, right? What is the ripple effect of getting one feature? So that is why I say you have to start before you're ready, and you cannot just keep pouring money into these marketing machines where if you stop paying for it, the faucet's dry. That is why press is so important, is that you do not need to keep feeding the machine, right? If you're with me, type in yes in the chat. Let's see. Yes. Okay, great. Awesome. Yes. Okay. So this is our webinar roadmap. I'm going to go quickly, but I really, really condensed this so that you get so much information. So many people say, Gloria, I cannot believe you do this masterclass for free. I have attended mini workshops that cost like $200 that give less information. So you really want to stick around for this. I promise you. We're going to cover PR versus marketing. And then we're going to touch on what journalists want. I'm not talking about influencers. I'm not talking about the people who spam your inbox saying, oh, you can pay me, I'll get you featured on this, right? I'm talking about real, credible, legitimate journalists. What do they want? If you know what they want, there's no limit to the amount of stories that you can be in, okay? And then I'm going to actually tell you my 3 steps to getting press from years of cold calling and rejections so that you don't have to go through what I went through, okay? I'm going to give you a bonus gift and an opportunity to jumpstart. But I hope you all can sign up for my 5-day challenge because that's probably the only time I'm going to be doing that for free too. Getfeaturednow.com. All right. So PR and marketing, right? A lot of people ask me, Gloria, what's the difference? And there are similarities, but the best example is a man and a woman are on a date, right? The man is telling the woman that he's a great guy. He went to great school. He has an amazing family, and he's a generally smart and dependable guy. So that's marketing, right? He's saying the right things to the right people. Now, if the woman goes home and her most trustworthy friend calls her up and says, you know that guy you're on a date with? He has such a good reputation. He volunteers at the Children's Cancer Hospital. I know he just is like such a good colleague. He's such a catch. That is PR, right? That is someone else vetting for you. And that is why Bill Gates famously said that if I was down to my last dollar, I would spend it on PR. So if you are with me, you're in this room and you're feeling this, type in yes in the chat. I am loving all this energy. Does he have a brother? I know, right? Where is he? Where is he? Let's find him. Okay, so here is a slide. You might want to take a screenshot, but I know Anne's going to record it, and then we're going to, I'm going to send you a follow-up bonus workbook as well. But throughout like all the times that I've pitched and I've gotten rejected, I've had phone slammed in my face. I picked up on a few things. And one thing I realized was that the more I focused on my client and who they were and what the product was and how unique it was and when it was going to be released, the lower the chances of that journalist wanting to stay on the phone with me, and the lower my chances of getting into a top tier outlet. So there's this like fundamental disconnect, right? Because as founders, you're so focused on your product, you know exactly in and out how to sell it. But I'm trying to tell you that if you want to appeal to a journalist, you actually have to rewire your brain and you have to zoom way out because they don't care about your product, right? They care about the macro story. They care about how it's shining a light on consumer behavior, on challenging our beliefs, on what this means for that, on what's going to happen in 2021. So the more you lead with your product, the lower your chances are of getting into a top tier outlet. And that is something that's tried and true because that's what I've pitched. So what I'm trying to say is, if you want to get into a top tier, like a Fast Company, a BuzzFeed, a Well and Good, something like that, that has tens of millions of views, you have to make sure that your pitch is relevant to tens of millions of views. And I'm sorry, but your product focused pitch is probably not relevant to tens of millions of views. I'm not saying that it's not a good story. I'm just saying that the higher you want to go, the more further you have to zoom out. So this is the pyramid that I made. It's a real complex and wide, like there are so many media outlets out there. There's radio, there's print, there's online, there's local. So there is an opportunity for all of us to win. All I'm saying is that you got to have a different strategy. You cannot be pitching your product's focus one for the same as an industry tier as a top tier, right? You're just going to have to just change your messaging. So if you do want to go into like, a Forbes or a Fast Company or entrepreneur, you're going to have to zoom out and focus on the big idea, right? What is the impact on society, on generations, on jobs, right? Is it challenging a belief? A lot of times you just have one little data point that's like a little bit like surprising that could lead to dispelling a myth or like challenging a belief. Like lead with that. I'm not saying you should say the earth is flat. I'm saying if you have research that like eating vegetables or eating certain types of vegetables is actually not like healthy for you, or if sleeping 6 to 8 hours is actually not good for you, share that, right? That's going to be something everybody wants to know. But if you have something that's very specific, let's say you're in e-commerce and you want to talk about kind of logistics, shipping, you can pitch that, but you're going to want to pitch it to like a retail insider or like, industry specific news. So there's ways you can win, but you just got to be strategic with how you are playing this messaging game. All right. So if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know that you're here. Yes, I love it. Kamala, Stephanie, Sophie, Shannon. All right. So my computer's annoying. So here we are on our road. We're almost there, ladies. Strategy to getting press, right? This is the 3-step method that I just basically invented by throwing spaghetti on the wall. And I was so sick and tired of not having a plan. This is my 3-step process that I've learned. Okay. Step 1, you got to have a media list. You got to have, it's like your CRM. right? If you want to build organic relationships with editors and not have to pay an influencer, you got to build that relationship. And the more organized your contact list is, the better. I'm going to go into detail about how to organize this, so stay with me. Number two is, remember what I said about transforming your product pitch into a truly newsworthy story that puts you not as a seller, not as someone that founded a company, but as a true industry leader. That means you got to have opinions. You got to have a point of view on where things are going. So that is where my pitching method that I trademark comes in. I'm going to show you exactly with real examples, because I'm all about showing. I know a lot of webinars, they kind of just tell you what to do, but I'm going to actually deconstruct a pitch for you, okay? Using my CPR method. And then the third one is that while you're sending out your pitches, you can do things right now to increase your authority. Right? If you have a launch, maybe you want to write a press release. If you have a partnership with a really big company, I don't care if you're one of 30,000 partners that they have, you want to ride on their coattails and really, really maximize that so that you can get a leg up, right? These are all the ways that I'm going to go into that as well. So step one is your media list, right? You want to know who can amplify your story, and not just emailing them, but know their social media. My two favorite for our Instagram and LinkedIn, but I know that people have had a lot of success on Twitter as well. What I'm saying is that you cannot just email people, you need to have a system of follow-up. And so I have that in my strategy as well, where you email and then within 24 hours, you send a condensed version of your pitch on their social media. So whether it's LinkedIn and Instagram or Twitter and Facebook, I always like two. So whichever two, right? And you want to research what they've covered before. I'm not saying you need to do like an entire exhaustive list, but one of the best ways to break that ice is by saying in the DMs, hey, I really love the story that you wrote last week about Facebook shops. I have a different point of view. Are you interested in hearing it? Like, that is a much easier way for you to get in contact with them than being like, I have a product, can you look at it? Right? So just doing very simple research can make you feel that much more confident in striking up a conversation. So this is what the media list that I have in the PR starter pack looks like for my clients. It's going to have first name, last name, media outlet, their email. They're going to, all of their social, across all platforms. This is kind of condensed. And one of the last articles that they wrote, so that you can give them a compliment, right? It doesn't matter if they wrote it last year, 3 years ago. Journalists are people and everyone loves to be complimented. Right? So like if you put in the chat right now, Gloria, I love that post that you did on Instagram sharing your story. Like, I'm going to be like, I'm going to remember this person. Right? So it doesn't have to be exhaustive, but this is power right here. And I'm going to follow up with all of you. Anne's going to share your email, and I'm going to give you a free template that looks like this, that's color coded, so that you can at least get a head start. So you might say, okay, Gloria, like, I get it, Excel spreadsheet, but how the hell do I find journalists online? I don't have time. I am a mom, and I'm going to give you 2 hacks right now. Okay. One of them is LinkedIn. The reason why I say LinkedIn is that top tier journalists, like real credible top tier journalists who are actually writers, they're on LinkedIn. So they are constantly on LinkedIn sharing their industry insights. So for example, Kate Trotter, she is a retail journalist and she edits the largest retail industry outlet called Insider Trends. So she's constantly posting about Etsy and Facebook and e-commerce and this and that. And she wrote about Facebook because they just launched shops, right? Which is like their version of like a Shopify. And so she wrote, how will Facebook shops change e-commerce? I literally wrote in the comments, thanks for sharing that. This is big news. However, I know people who don't like Facebook, and they actually say Facebook is actually very predatory and anti-small business. She responded within an hour. She wrote, that's interesting. Do they have a specific concern about it? So guess what happened next? My client started talking with Kate, and now they're on a first name basis. So it is all possible. It is all possible, but LinkedIn is really one of my favorites if you really want to like get into a legitimate, credible kind of industry news or top tier. Now you might say, okay, that's great. How else do I find journalists? So there's a couple of things you can do in addition to searching on social media, like following hashtags on LinkedIn, is you can set up a Google News Alert right now. So if you type in Google News Alert, don't do it now, but do it later. Put in keywords. So if you're in AI, banking, startup, VC, entrepreneurship, you tell them what keywords, and Google will let you know all the articles and podcasts and things that are being published on your keyword in the geography that you pick. And then it's as easy as copy and pasting, right, the journalist, and putting it into the Excel spreadsheet that I will give you after this. in the email. So look out for my email. So those are very grassroots way of doing it. I've had clients who have had a lot of success just doing that. Yes, it takes time, but it's so, so powerful to do. This is like 80% of the prep work. Okay. You can also pay for like a Rocket Reach, pay for like a database. There's Cision, Muckrack, a license, which is about 10 grand a year. It's a PR agency tool. And I also have the first ever PR starter pack database, which I created for founders like you who do not want to pay $10,000 a year. And I actually preload a database for you. And it's got over 30,000 journalists that are updated, right? And so much more. So those are all the ways, but definitely set up a Google News alert. So we finished step one, create a media outreach list. Remember that the editor-in-chief of Fast Company, the editor-in-chief of Vox, BuzzFeed, they're not your people. They're not going to be the ones writing your story. They're doing their own book tours. So you want to find out who is exactly the person who covers your beat. That is the best advice I can give you. Okay. Great. Now we're on number two, which is you got to develop your pitch, right? You cannot just pitch people your glorified marketing brochure because the journalist is going to say, I'm going to send you to the ads department. They're more than happy to take your money. So if you want to bypass that whole thing and not even be considered, like it's not even in your mind, like you're so like empowered in the fact that you have valuable information to share, you're not even going to like question like paying for an ad, right? Because that's the mindset that I came up with. I was like, it's not an option for me and my clients. They only paid me if I got them a feature. That's how you can be in that energy to be like, I'm not even paying for an ad because this is like such critical industry information. So that is the energy that we need to really be able to break into the top tier. How are we doing? Are we good? Sorry. Oh, I don't know where we are. 1 second. Are we good? Okay. Yes.
Good stuff so far. So good. This is great. Lots of comments coming in.
This is a good time to actually take any questions while I load my system back up.
Yeah, we have two questions. One is from Priyanka. She's asking, well, if you have an idea, but you're not necessarily an expert, would you still be heard? And maybe the question there would be, well, why would you want to be heard, right? If you're just at idea stage. But yeah, that's the question.
No, that's a limiting belief because remember, Tanisha, who got a $25,000 grant and got on 10 things, she doesn't have a finished product. She just had an idea. She had a point of view. So the press they want your point of view. They're not looking for a crystal ball of who's really going to predict the future. But the people who get on these like TV shows, I see them all the time. They have a very simple prediction and then they get invited because they have a point of view, right? Experts have a point of view. It doesn't mean it has to be right. It's just your point of view. So that's what I would say about that. And the first person who actually pitches a point of view, and a lot of times it's not even groundbreaking. It's like, duh, I could have said that, but you didn't pitch. So I have for example, I worked with a wine connoisseur and she started to do Zoom wine classes like years ago, like before COVID. But she didn't think that was really newsworthy. And she just thought that was just a natural extension of the way she brought value. And guess what? Now with COVID, everyone's doing these Zoom wine classes. And when you Google Zoom wine classes, she is nowhere on the search because she never pitched her story, even though she was the first to do it years ago. So do not be like her. Pitch your story. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and Yasmin, I just want to tell you this because she's saying, Gloria, I have a master's in PR from NYU, and this literally covers those 2 years in a very straightforward and easy to digest way.
What?
Awesome.
No
So you have to put that on your website.
Oh my God. Can you please type it in the chat and I'll screenshot it? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it could have saved me a lot of like really not cool nights where I was like getting rejected and Googling and throwing spaghetti on the wall. But I guess this works. I never studied PR in my life. I just did this by hacking it. But I wish I had someone to tell me what to do. So thank you. I'm glad. I actually had a lady who works with Unilever, and she hired like a PR agency, like one of the top 5, and paid like 30 grand a month. And they were unable to get her anything. And she actually came to my masterclass and she wants to hire me to do like her, like, the same story that the PR agency couldn't do. So it just goes to show it's really not about your contacts, because journalists are real people. They actually don't like someone in between and being like a PR agent. Like if I was a journalist, I would get really annoyed. I would be like, I want to talk to the person. Like, I don't want to talk to 5 different agents. So, I mean, that's just my experience. Do we have another question? If not, I'm going to move on to step 2.
Yeah, okay, move on. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so step 2 is you got to transform all this marketing speak into a press-worthy story. And that is exactly what we're going to cover in my 5-day PR challenge. I hope all of you are signed up, and I'm going to be giving away a free starter pack. So that's like $2,000 worth of free stuff. So sign up now. But the meat of it is this, is when you're thinking about, Gloria, I don't have a newsworthy story, here are the questions you can start to ask to get you on the right track, right? What are the changes in your industry? You know, we are living in a new reality. I don't care if you are in the future of work, if you are in parenthood, heck, if you're even a dog walker, we have fundamentally changed the way we live in 2021. So what are some of those changes, right? Where is your industry headed, right? What is the prediction? So there's a lot of new virtual things coming on. There's a lot of new like technologies. So that could be something that's headed. How does that impact your industry? Are there any seasonal or regulatory relevance? So if you are in finance, if you are in like clean beauty, is there a new FDA piece of law that's like, saying about clean beauty? Is there a lawsuit? Is there something going on with Amazon or Fortune 500? You can basically attach yourself to that. When I say seasonal, I mean like if you are in retail or e-commerce, maybe it's a story about Black Friday and what's going to happen this year when people are not really shopping, or what happened last year, right? A simple prediction. You can also conduct a very simple survey. So for example, I worked with a female founder who had a class pass for kids activities, right? So if you're a parent, you can book like a karate class or whatever, right? COVID wiped out her entire pipeline because nobody was open. So what did she do? We worked together, and in 1 hour, we came up with a pitch where she surveyed her clientele who are no longer paying her. And it was on a Google form. It was free. And it was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to pay for a virtual karate or a virtual paint class for your kid, right? She found out that over 75% of parents were not willing to spend a single penny on virtual classes. And that is mind blowing because, like, for me, I'm totally fine taking like an online Zumba class. So what did we do? We put that into a pitch. We said, COVID has fundamentally changed the way that we do things. However, there are some non-negotiable for parents, and there are irreplaceable parts about children's activities that parents are just not willing to pay for. So we put it all together with a neat little bow. We gave it to the journalist, and that's data that they don't have time to collect, right? That positions her as an industry authority, right? So these are all the ways you can start to think about it. And again, none of this stuff has anything to do with her product, right? That's just like a very small piece of it. So be a conduit of information, survey your customers, because the journalists are not going to know who your audience is. So use that to conduct a very simple survey. That's going to be proprietary data. Here is an exact example of what I mean by that, because remember, I'm all about showing, not telling. So right here, my client, Vincent, we just did a LinkedIn Live yesterday, actually. We started our business at the same time during COVID, right? So he was a CMO, and then he became a career coach. And he knew this market was so saturated, right? Everyone has career advice, blah, blah, blah. What we came up with for him was to do a very simple survey. And he literally wrote on LinkedIn, hey, if you graduated in 2008 or 2020, let me know. I want to do a simple survey. So he collected responses from 2008 grads and 2020 grads about how those two tough times differ, how they feel about how optimistic they were about the future, and how much they felt like their education was worth. He packaged it, he brought it up, and he was able to get conversations going with New York Times, with Tennessean, with Inc. And he actually was featured in Forbes, Tennessean, and Inc. And now he actually did a LinkedIn Live with LinkedIn News. So he live streamed on LinkedIn to 3.4 million people about what's happening right now and how people feel about the job market. He's not the first person to do this. There are people every single day on LinkedIn talking about HR, but he just went about it the way that is going to get him the highest position. And that is why he got interviewed. This is not like new groundbreaking information, right? It's just about positioning, but he put himself out there. So now he's keynoting at conferences. He has investors. I think he's hiring his 8th employee. When we worked together, he was just a one-man show. Okay, so this is all possible for you. I put the actual pitches that I wrote for all of these people into my PR starter pack. I've trademarked it. There's nothing else on the market. It's got the database. It's got all of my pitches. No one's doing PR in this way because no one's like serving the solo entrepreneur, right? This allows you to see exactly how I write a pitch. It usually looks something like this. I like 3s. I have a very strategic opening and a closing, and you can see all of that in the PR starter pack. But let's move on. There are elements of a good pitch, and I came up with this CPR trademark method that no one else has, because they always either worked at an agency or had someone who knew someone. I didn't. So I had to come up with this angle. So I found that when my pitch contained all three elements, 90% of the time, it was like gonna get a response, okay? CPR stands for credibility, point of view, and relevance. And you wanna have all three of those things in your pitch. Credibility means, in very simple one sentence, why you are in the position to pitch. I do not want your resume. I do not want an unpublished autobiography attached. One sentence. It could be, I am a founder, or I am an HR leader, or I am a, 3 decades, whatever. And it's very simple. And then you want to talk about the point of view. So remember what I said about conducting a survey, or like point of view about what Amazon's doing or what's happening in, seasonal. That's your point of view. You can say, COVID has fundamentally changed the way we do X, Y, and Z. Here are 3 things that I'm seeing happening, which can point to the way we relate to ourselves, or which could, like, so many things, right? I just recently wrote a pitch for someone who has like a really grassroots recipe blog. Okay. Like a recipe blog. She's not even selling anything. And she used to be a former editor, and she worked with me to write her pitch. And the pitch we came up with was how our like cluelessness about lunch and our like sourdough making, and the fact that we just really want like home cooked feel good foods, what does that say about where we are right now and how we feel about ourselves, right? Because no one's going to work anymore. So lunch, people are like, what the hell do we cook for lunch? So that highlights like a big part of our life that's missing. And that was the pitch that we wrote about how recipe trends and what people are searching for, how it illuminates like where we are emotionally, right? And then you want to have relevance. You want to close it off with why the story matters now. So that is being very strategic in your subject line. Like 2020, 2021, nothing's worse than putting the name of yourself and the company in the pitch. It's just going to go into an internet black hole, right? If I'm an editor, I want to know that this is not a pitch you're just blasting for 5 years, recycling it. I want to know that you did your research and this is something new. Right? So things like what's going to happen for Q1 of 2021, or what's going to happen this Valentine's Day, or what's going to, like, that is relevance, why the story matters now. And you really want to have all 3 things. I'm going to stop here and answer any questions. And then the next slide, I'm going to show you another breakdown of exactly what I mean by the CPR pitch. So let me know if you have any questions.
Awesome. Yeah. Brittany from Femtech Focus is asking, she's a Femtech expert, as we all know. Hey! And, Brittany has done a pretty amazing Femtech landscape, and has done webinars with us at the Guild as well. And they're available in our recordings, FYI. And she's saying, well, our stories typically include things like vagina, vulva, or sexual wellness. And, those are all those words that are like big red flags for a lot of outlets. So how would you go about that?
I actually think that's your strong suit, because if you write that in the subject line, it's going to get me to click. And that's like literally step number 1, is like, they're getting 800 emails per hour. You want to be provocative. So I'm not saying be sensationalist, but if like, this is important stuff, just because some people feel uncomfortable with it doesn't mean it's not happening. Right? So a lot of times these stories that seem fringe or taboo, those are the ones that get on, because guess what? We're all consumers. If I am scrolling through my newsfeed and I see something about like vagina or vulva or self-masturbation, I'm going to click on that. And I'll be the first one. Like, I know you will too. I just wrote a pitch for a sex therapist who basically is saying that it's not about intimacy with your partner, it's about self-masturbation, and why self-masturbation is the key to rekindling your romance that COVID has completely destroyed. Okay, that is how I wrote her pitch. So I say, go for it. We have so much going on in femtech. Like, that is huge. Obviously, you know that because you're probably getting lots of interest. Just be confident in what you're building. Get back to your founder's intention. Why did you even do femtech? Because this is truly groundbreaking. So people need to hear the story, and you actually have a leg up because you're not just pitching another story about the future of work or whatever. Like, do it. If you want to talk to me offline, we can kind of strategize about what I think, but I think you're really onto something.
Awesome. And then Jenny is saying, you told a story about the parents not wanting virtual classes, and now she got featured, but yet the fact still is that parents don't want the virtual classes. So did it actually help her in getting views or let's say return on investment on that pitch?
Yeah, I mean, she definitely started to have conversations with people. I haven't caught up with her, but she's been featured many places before. like even before we worked together. So she was able to like leverage that. What we also did, I didn't tell you, is that not only was it virtual, is that she added at the end that instead of virtual classes, they were doing mini summer backyard camps. So that was a new trend, which is like like a masked camp leader in a backyard where they select 4 children or 5 children for like a mini summer camp. And so that was kind of the trend that's happening. And if you Google mini summer day camps, that is actually a story that's being written. So it was kind of a 2-part pitch.
Love that. Yeah, and I would say from a PR perspective, when you look at your SEO, right, like don't underestimate that. Even if the story doesn't sell, it will create a lot of backlinks to your website and push you up on the Google search side of things.
I mean, if you Google me, like I use my podcast template that I have in the starter pack. I literally use that one and I pitched and I got onto 10 podcasts in the last 3 months. And it's like skyrocketing my SEO. So I was getting quoted like 10 grand, 20 grand for someone to do my SEO. And I was like, I could just do PR instead, you know? So there is no reason why anyone here cannot get into podcast in the next 30 days, like 0. So I like, awesome. All you need is the right pitch. And I had that for you. Someone talked about Haro. I have on my website a video of me talking about Haro and how you can hack it. So Haro stands for Help a Reporter Out. And I literally just sent an email to my newsletter about this, about how to hack Haro. So if you want to know how to hack Haro and actually use it to get a response, because it can be very overwhelming, go on my website, gloriachoupr.com, go look at resources, and I have like a Loom video showing you. So.
Love that. Okay, we'll find that link and put that in here for you.
Yes. I'm going to take a screenshot because Yasmin's is amazing. Okay, so now we're clear about the CPR method, right? Okay, so speaking of Haro, this person, Anna, used the pitch that I wrote for her and copy and pasted it into Haro and got on Fast Company. So Haro works. You just need to have a good strategy, right? So this is my now friend, Anna. She is making a video interviewing app. Not the first. She wants to basically help companies recruit, right? So many of these out there. When I worked with her, she's still in beta. Her website's not launched. I don't know if she's launched yet. I don't think so. But it didn't matter because the beauty of the CPR pitch is basically putting her as a position as an industry authority. It doesn't have anything to do with whether or not her stuff was ready to be shipped or ready to be like viewed, right? So what is the C, the credibility piece? Very simple, was that she was a thought leader in HR and she used to be a recruiter, right? So she understands the pain points. What is the point of view? The point of view from the pitch that we wrote was that there was a huge interview skills gap on video between older people who were very good with like networking and, you know, like coffee shop meetups and old people and young people. So young people are great on video, old people, not so much. So what does that mean? It creates an uneven playing field. And the press loves stories like this, where it's like, how has a new technology, created a gap? Like they love stories like that, where there's like an uneven playing field. So there's a winners and losers. Why is it relevant right now? It's relevant because virtual job interviews are literally the only way people are getting hired. So unless you can catch up with the young and hip people on TikTok, you are not going to have a leg up. So in the pitch, we wrote in the subject line, 3 ways to ace your first video interview. We gave 3 bullet points, very concise, about how you can be just as good as the young TikTokers and ace your first interview. She copied and pasted this exact pitch that I wrote with her on our one-on-one session, and she got onto Fast Company and Forbes. Right? So if you Google Anna, Fast Company, like this shows up, and she actually gave me a little shout out here. So it's all possible, right? This led to her being invited to speak at the biggest career conference with Inc. editor-in-chief. I actually connected her with my friend Vincent, who a few slides ago, and they actually have a co-speaking gig. So it's just now they're both like HR and thought leaders in this space. And she was able to speak alongside head of people at Zoom, Tesla, Adobe, people who wouldn't give her the time of day. All of a sudden, she's on the same level as these people. So think about her when she wants to sell her product to these companies. Like that's going to give her 10 times more. 10,000, 20,000. I don't even know how much you have to pay for ads for that, right? All of a sudden she was on the conference rosters. So this stuff is groundbreaking. And this was from one pitch that we wrote that she copied and pasted onto Haro. Do we have any other questions?
No questions right now.
Okay. So I see the chat going. We're all energized. And, I always say, people say, Gloria, success begets success. And I'm like, yeah, well, press really gets you more press, right? So what I'm saying is like, if you know how to write your story, if you're not afraid to be rejected, because you are going to be rejected, you are going to be so invincible. Actually, in my group coaching, I have a small group mastermind. One of the first things I tell them is your task for this week is to get 5 rejections. If you didn't get 5 rejections, you're not even close enough to the point where you can even be featured. Because the first step is feeling comfortable to write your pitch and to actually see it on the screen and then send it. And then you have to get good enough where the journalist is actually going to respond to you. If they even reject you, that means you're like 10 times closer than the next person, right? Because half the time they don't even respond to the email. So hopefully in the last 20, 30 minutes, I've given you tools where you can feel that much more confident so that you're not just sitting around looking at your screen and you're comfortable to get your first rejection. It's going to lead to your second, to your third. And soon enough, you're going to be like Tanisha, like Vincent, like Anna, like all of my clients who are way past that stage and they're like speaking at stages now, right? I know it's possible for you. Basically, what I'm trying to say is you can be at a place a month from now, 2 months from now, where the opportunities come to you. So that's the beauty of press, is like, you don't have to do the chasing anymore. People are coming to you, right? So that's really the meat of it. And the third step really quickly is, while you're sending your pitch, you have your media list. I'm going to email to you. You're going to develop your pitch using the CPR method. Maybe you get the PR starter pack and you can uncover everything and see exactly how I write the pitches. There are still things you can do right now to increase your credibility. Okay, what are they? Number one, you know all that time that you're spending to write on your website? Stop doing that. Okay, instead, use all the writing that you have and ask Forbes, LinkedIn, Medium, Entrepreneur, Fortune if you can contribute to their website, because that is going to get tens of thousands of views. I don't know if your website is there, maybe it is, but they don't accept articles that has already been written. So do not waste time to write on your blog. I actually don't even update my blog anymore. My focus right now is podcast. So my goal is to get on 2 podcasts and 2 speaking events every month. I don't even bother with anything else, because that is what's going to move the needle for me, right? So I encourage you to do the same thing. And I have all the databases of where to contact them, all the editors at Forbes, at Entrepreneur, in the PR starter pack. You can also optimize your LinkedIn headline. I really love LinkedIn. I was able to hack mine from 0 views per post to 5,000 views. It took me a while to get there, but I have a course on exactly how to optimize your LinkedIn and make it way better, so that when you do message the person at New York Times, when you do comment on people, they're going to be like, they're interesting. Let me click on them, right? You got to optimize your profile. I also have that in the PR starter pack. If you are launching something, if you have an announcement, like the femtech person, if you're launching, you really, before you launch, you want to see if you can secure an exclusive from an editor. You're basically saying, hey, we're going live with this news, but no one knows yet. You are our top choice. So how would you like the chance to release this news, right? That is your only piece of leverage. So don't just like put stuff out onto your website, a press release. Please shop around, like please, right? It's like if you're dating, right? You're basically telling people, I've got like, I only have like, 2 weeks of availability, like for our date. You don't want to be available forever, right? So you want people to have that sense of urgency. And if you have multiple people who want to be the first to release it, that's a good problem, right? If you have multiple people who want to date you, like that's a good problem. So let's get you there. So that's another thing that's for people who are a little further along, but you can definitely use a press release. And I have a VIP day for that, where I write your entire press release. And I've been able to get pre-funded startups full features on New York Times, Fast Company, Forbes, FT, Reuters, Yahoo, just by using this exclusive, the power of the exclusive, right? Journalists love a little exclusive. If you tap my shoulder and say, hey, we're coming out with this news, but I want you to release it first, like that's going to make me feel good. I'm going to want to respond to that email. So how would you like a chance to get 30,000 editors worldwide in a database where you don't have to pay that $10,000 for? All of my winning pitches that got Tanisha, that got Anna, that got every single person I showed you onto where they are, word for word. How would you like all of that? Content ideas, pitch templates, everything you need to be your PR hero so that you can get press for life. How would you like that, right? This is what I'm trying to say is, to pitch to press, you need 2 things. You need to know who's going to cover your story, which is step 1, media list. And you need to know how to write a pitch, which is step 2, right? I put all of that in the PR starter pack, everything you need to pitch like a pro. No one else has thought about this because they've all worked at PR agencies and I've had to hack it. So you're not going to see this anywhere else, right? The recap of the press strategy that I have taught you, which you can do on your own, is the same. Develop your media list, develop your pitch, and contribute to a higher domain authority. and try to leverage your announcement. That's going to take you time, right? And research and money. But guess what? It's going to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars down the road. Because if you pay for, let's say, a sponsored article, right? I just got an email today from these people. Oh, get featured in Yahoo right now, like in 24 hours. Like, okay, that's great, but it's going to say sponsored post. And if you're anything like me, the moment I see that something's sponsored, it just ruins the credibility. So this is going to help you like be able to fish for life. It just depends on what kind of founder are you. You know, if you're really in it to win it, then you're going to want to learn how to do your own PR. And hopefully throughout this time, I've given you the opportunity to feel confident to do it yourself. So you don't have to get on another discovery call with an agency that's going to try to sell you a 10 grand a month retainer, right? So the PR Starter Pack has your database, the templates, the PR roadmap, and more. It's basically what I built from years of trying and failing. It's got word for word pitching template. It even has a podcast pitching template, my own podcast pitching template that I used to get onto 10 podcasts in the last 3 months, word for word. And it has top 1,000 podcast media lists. So it's like even actually more than 3,000 editors. Altogether, it's about $15,000 of value, but I'm not going to charge you that, right? PR agencies are 10 grand a month for 10 months. The PR Starter Pack is only 3 payments of $395. I mean, there are courses out there that just give you video trainings, no templates, no data for $3,000. So this is insane, the value, right? This is a founder's price. I'm going to keep raising it, but I really want to keep my things accessible. So I'm trying to say getting featured is not about bragging rights, getting logos, right? It's about you feeling 100% more confident in yourself and your ability to be invited to every table, that you're not even going to think about whether or not you're ready, because all it takes is you pitching, right? What is that worth to you? 1 logo, 2 logo, or the belief that you are ready right now where you are. How is that going to change the way you do business with other people? So Sophia, she is a founder of a furniture company. She's like 24 years old. And in 1 month of the starter pack, she copied and pasted the pitches and she got into all of these places. And she does furniture. And this was during an election year. This was during the height of the pandemic, right? So people are looking for these stories. You just need to know who you're contacting and what your pitch is. And I put that all in the PR Starter Pack. Now, I want to extend another gesture of goodwill because I love Anne. If you are ready to take the next step and try this new way where you can learn how to do PR for yourself and not depend on anyone else, I will invite you to my free VIP coaching call in February. My regular 1 hour rate is $1,000 an hour, but I will invite you to come onto this call where we will actually dissect your pitch. We're going to do a mini training. I'm going to assign you an accountability partner, and that is going to be for free. I'm not going to tell the rest of my coaching people, but I'm extending this for you if you join me inside the PR Starter Pack in the next 48 hours, right? I have a call lined up for February, and I would love, love, love to get FaceTime. Anyone who shows up gets FaceTime with me. And I want to leave you with this. We covered a lot of things today, right? I understand that nobody likes rejection. That's human nature. It didn't feel good to have to dial the operator all the way up to the intern and for people to be like, who the hell are you? Why are you calling me? I don't know you. But guess what? That's what built my business. That is why there's people in the chat that's like, I have never seen PR done this way. You have just summarized it, because I had to learn the hard way. So if you can push past that fear of depending on someone else or feeling like you're ready because you don't need to be, right? Miracles, real miracles start to happen in your business, like they did for all of my clients who are early stage. And I only work with early stage clients. I don't work with anyone that like already has like a fully fledged, like mature thing, right? Because they're just going to hire an agency to do it, and that's fine. So whatever you do, just start. Because knowing how to pitch yourself and be invited to the table, that is a skill that is going to pay off for the rest of your life. That's what got me and connected with Anne. That's what got me invited to these workshops. I'm living proof of that right now. Thank you so much for your time. I really hope all of you can sign up for my 5-day PR challenge. It's the first time I'm doing this. I'm going to be giving away a PR starter pack. You're not going to be invited to the call though. I'm going to be giving away 2 Clubhouse invites. We're going to talk about how to write your pitch, and I'm going to do it in a private Facebook group. We have about 150 people signed up so far, all organic, no ads. And I hope you can be there as well. And you can register on my website, gloriachoupr.com. So I hope you can. And I'm going to stop right here because I've been talking and I want to connect with the rest of you. So let me know what your thoughts are, any questions.
I love that, Gloria. Thank you so much. And, you know, I have seen your pitch before, and I think you're creating so much value. You're giving away a lot. but you're also selling your amazing like resources and experience. And I think it's so important as women to know what we're worth and to ask for that. And so thank you for having those offers for us. And I did put the link for the PR Get Featured Now, the 5-day PR challenge. I signed up myself because I suck at PR. It's really bad. So Camila said she signed up as well. She's ready. Thank you, Gloria.
Nice. Yeah. And I trademarked the PR starter pack because I'm the first person to come up with this.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent idea. And you know, we have similar things in the Guild Academy. We have all these templates, right? Like user interview question template, ready, set, go, our financial planning template for a whole year, and so, etc. And investor lists and things like that as well. And so while we help a lot and do a lot of content for free, we also have these very high touch, you know, offerings. So love that you have all this.
Yeah, I mean, having a database of 30,000 editors, like that is invaluable. And you can download it right now and keep it for the rest of your life.
That's amazing. Yeah. And super cool, great tidbits and just, you know, sometimes we don't know what we don't know, right? Maybe we always thought PR is just way in the future, and now we have an understanding that in actuality is not. And Brittany just asked earlier in the chat saying, hey, if there's anybody here who wants to intern with us to try your approach, you know, reach out to me, because she sees immediately the value, right, Brittany? And why not try it?
I have an intern and an assistant, and my intern, all she does is basically like pitch me for podcasts, because as long as I have the pitch, it's just a matter of sending it out. But guess what? I get 100% visibility on who's responding, and I'm not waiting for my weekly call with an agent. So everything that can be delegated to someone, you can, but it puts you at the forefront. And if you install, that's one more hack, is you got to install an email tracker. So you know exactly who's opening and not, because a lot of times you think, oh, my pitch is bad, no one's opening it. And it's just like, it just doesn't get through their spam filter. So having data on whether or not your email is being opened gives you the confidence to pitch over and over and over again.
Yeah, I love that advice. What is a good tracker?
I use mailtrack.io. It's kind of rudimentary. It's the cheapest, but there's like Superhuman. I mean, there's tons of them, and it each has their own risks and vulnerabilities because it's like an extension of your mail. But I use mailtrack.io.
That's awesome. Okay, do we have any questions for?
Please add
Gloria
me on,
while she's
on
here.
Instagram. Please find me on Instagram too.
Awesome. What is your
Instagram? At Gloria Chou PR.
Perfect.
And then sign up for my challenge. It's not going to include the call though. Yep.
Ashley is asking if it's only on Facebook. She doesn't have a Facebook account. I think it's only on Facebook, right? That one.
Yeah, I was hesitant to do on Facebook, but I want to try something new. So it's just a pop-up Facebook group for the people who have joined, and I'm going to close it afterwards. So it's like a very limited time thing. And it doesn't include invite to my VIP coaching call. So I'm not going to be giving that away at all. That's only for the next 48 hours.
Right. So Gloria, Jenny's asking, when you reference pitching your idea before it becomes a tangible thing, is there ever a concern about infringing on a pending provisional patent? Are there times when PR should be delayed? Thanks.
Well, if it's a real credible journalist, they're going to want to do their research, and you're going to be in the course of the call talking about that. Right. So if like, you're going to be able to say like, this is legally like not allowed, or that's not allowed. But when you're just like starting a conversation with someone, like you always want to start that earlier. That's why I say legitimate journalists, because a journalist at the New York Times, they're going to do their due diligence, but an influencer on Instagram, they may or may not. I actually just wrote a press release for a German startup who doesn't even have a physical product. It's just a patent that he secured. And he wanted me to use my VIP day to write his press release so that he can be the first to say that he secured this patent, and to attract institutional partners so he can come to the US. So that's another great way to protect your assets as well. Is if you don't want to pitch, if you have a patent, just go with a press release and just do it big, and no one else can claim that they've done it because it's on the Google News section.
Yeah, and it's first to mention, right, in the US in terms of patent law. I'm not a lawyer, so don't quote me on that, but it's something to think about. When do you go out publicly and make a debut with your product and your, also for your trademark, right? You don't have to actually have a complete copyright either for your name. as long as you use it. And PR and press is a great way to establish that and establish your thought leadership. So
yeah, exactly.
And a lot of people ask me, well, thought leadership, I think I should just start that when I have the thing that's launched. And I always say, no, at least 6 months before you launch, you should start thinking about your thought leadership. Think about who you are, what you stand for, why are you credible in that space, right? And PR 100%. Is an amazing tool for that, right?
I mean, the last thing you want to do is be like, oh, I've launched. Where is everybody? It's like, well, they're covering other people's stories. So if you want to be covered for free, you have to build that relationship, you know?
Yeah. All right, 2 more minutes. More questions, ladies, before we move into our co-founder lounge and hear pitches from a bunch of really awesome entrepreneurs telling you that they're actually looking for a co-founder. So tell me, if you are one of those co-founders, please send me a chat message so I can make you co-host too. But now is the chance. You still have a minute to have time of Gloria's, which is worth a lot. So tell us if there's anything you'd like to know. Last chance.
Can sign up for my challenge, and if you're ready to take the next step, I'll invite you to my VIP group coaching call. So those are kind of the two things, the takeaways. Oh, and then I will be following up with everyone in email. I'll send you a beautiful workbook that I paid my designer like hundreds of dollars. It's gonna highlight everything that I've talked about. So it's not like you have to take all these notes. So
awesome. Yeah. And so last question here, any ideas on how to get celebrity attention?
That's not really my wheelhouse because lots of celebrities want to be paid. So it's like a lot of celebrities who are thought leaders maybe are like fine with like not getting paid, but a lot of times that's kind of more in the influencer thing. However, if you use my CPR pitch, it's always going to position you as a thought leader. And if someone actually cares about that, then they're not going to accept money. So I don't know what you mean by celebrity. So.
Yeah. And then Seema is asking, do you work with international clients? Is the template still relevant?
Yep, 100%. There's templates. I've gotten on my clients onto Valor Economico, Euromoney, like Asian news. So it's the CPR method works, and especially with podcasts, I don't think people care like where you are. But it's for an English speaking audience. But the media list is worldwide. So I have it separated in 50 different categories, and you can literally go in and download every single one, or just the one that pertains to you. There's like 50 different keywords. So if you go to prstarterpack.com, you can see all of them.
Awesome. Well, give a big round of applause. Thank you, Gloria, for joining us live today. This was wonderful. We took away a lot. And I will do a quick stop here, give everybody a chance to clap and to connect with you and to see all the resources that you have for us. I'm going to stop the recording.